taking a look here at AMC, and one thing you want to keep an eye on is where the direction of the overall market's at. So for the pretty much all day and going into the last couple hours, the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 futures have been weighing lower. So we saw this final break here where we got this push. We got a little bit of a short covering here, and noticeably that it went right into the Bollinger Band here and came back down. So the 27 level on this one, well, 27 is right up here. This is going to now be resistance, and which is why we saw in this 1 minute that it broke. Someone sold into it. We had selling into it. It bounces back, and then now it's looking to be where it's going to test the low of the day and probably break lower here. So this is probably the final push on this specific trade here, even though that we have what looks to be probably another 20 minutes. Well, actually, another hour and 20 minutes here. So this is probably, at this point, we had the initial push. We broke through it. We get some short covering here. And then on the backside here, depending on this one, I mean, this is an interesting stock because there is a lot of interest. There's demand on the retail side, and there's also, then there we go, we break lower here. And my suspicion is we break lower and we probably pop higher here. But the fact that there isn't such a demand amongst normal investors, and when I say normal, I just mean the fact that the Reddit crowd or whatnot, we usually have normal supply and demand, which is not what we're seeing here because this was a frenzy stock here. So we have a lot of voids of price discovery occurring here, and this is the reason why we're seeing these kind of massive move higher, but also now we're seeing a 13% decline here, where short sellers are getting more aggressive, even on a stock that's hard to borrow here. So this continues to be a stock that needs to find support, and at levels at right now at 26.24, yeah, we just don't see that on there. So that's the short trade on AMC, where I saw the puts come in here, and here we continuously break lower now. So these puts were initially earlier at 30 cents, and now they've spiked up to $1.10, $1.05, or $1.10 bid offer. So that right there is what we're talking about here in a matter of, I don't know, 20 minutes. That especially on a trade like this, you have a bias. It's just, if the bias is where you think it's going to be short or long, it's just better to play it through the chain here that expires, and you just play the direction and get the leverage there. So that right there would be 30 cents, 30, 60, 90, almost a 200, over a 200% gain, and a little bit of a shakeout here, but then rolls over. So as I suspect here, 26 going to be a level here. We probably bounce up higher. Do we continue to drop lower here? I'm gonna say no, but again, that's the trade. That was the trade. That's the activity we see here, or I saw. And now you see 32,000 traded here. These were trading, I think, at 15 cents at one point, but now, you know, we're getting late in the day. You had the initial push, and we had a little bit of IV coming in, but now the trade's over. You got to get in, get out, and move on. So the opportunities to average in on this position at this point, average in, not go all in at one point, average in, get your move, scale out, and this one would have been a tough one to scale back into because this 27 level, we popped above it about 27.10, but this is a frenzy type of stock here, and we're looking to drop even lower here. So continues to drop lower here, but the downside, I suspect, is not going to be something that we see just kind of crash lower, but even though we're seeing it drop lower here. But my suspicion is that we see some buying come in here, but now it's just, we take a look here on the, and what I'm speaking of specifically is if you just take a look here on the daily, there is no price discovery at this point here. If I put a volume here, I would guarantee that this was a pocket here, and we can actually do that right now. So I'm going to pause it here for a second. I'm going to pop up a volume. Okay, so here we are looking at the volume. This is a volume profile here, and notice where the thicker amount of volume has traded is where people have bought or own shares. That's where most of the volume is at. So you can see here that you got a little bit of a curve here, a bigger curve here, and more of a curve here. So a lot of people own shares, obviously in this area here, and there's a lot of void up here. So this is all overhead, and we don't see possibility of getting to support, I mean, until ideally at $15 where we could see this potentially bottom. And you can look to the left of the chart here, and that's where a lot of volume traded before, or a lot of time and volume. That's why we see it here. Time and volume creates support. So 15 probably looks to be a support level here. And then when you see here, this is all overhead. So this is the reason why we're seeing a lot more velocity, because now people are looking at this stock and they're saying, well, I don't know if I really buy into the story, and I don't know if I want to own this anymore. I'm over leveraged. I quit. And that's what happens with the slope of hope. People are slowly giving out. And this is exactly what happens here. So not only that, but we're at the year end here. We get people just looking to close out and move on from their position here. So it's nothing to do other than it's a company, it's a stock, and that's what it really is. It doesn't have anything to do with an individual or a group of people. It's just a trade. It's just a stock. It's a company. And this company, as I have mentioned before, is it, even if you believed in it, the valuation, you have to look at the valuation of this, and these valuations don't support that. And it's just very simple. If that were the case, people would be buying it. If there was a value, if there was a discount in the marketplace, it would be exploited to its fullest, and that's not the case. It's not being exploited. So right now, it had the mother of all squeezes here. It didn't. I don't know what more mother of all squeezes here. As I said, rolling heel, pop lower. And for some people, this is going to be a dip buy. But again, when you buy a dip and you buy lower lows, I mean, the chart is going against you. So you could not want to leave all you want. So you could stay until the party ends, but then the party ends and you're the only one there, and there's nothing left there. And not saying that's going to happen with AMC here, but once it works its way out, gets back to possibly 15, where probably see some support there. This is not going to be a mother of all short squeezes again here, my opinion. But this is the round trip. A round trip is this: you go for the ride and you come back down. And this is the tough part of investing and trading, is you have to know when to get off the ride. And right now, it looks to be where people are exiting the ride a little bit here. Probably see a bounce because people are going to come in and talk about how this is the greatest opportunity before. You loved it here. This is the stuff I used to do as a broker. Hey, you loved it at 20, you're going to love it at 15. You loved it at 30, we're going to love it at 25. So, I mean, if that's the case, here's, and if you're in that camp, okay, you scaled into it, you scale in a little bit more, and you don't go all in on it, you scale and you wait. Yeah, that's what we have here. That's the activity that we see. And longer term, we're seeing positioning into the June contract. And I discussed that on Twitter yesterday. But here, this volume here, this is big buying here. Not today, because you see volume, but this is the open interest that was from yesterday added on to today. And these are buyers sitting and waiting, and they have 196 days. And they're not looking for it to go to 25. They're looking for it to they're looking for it to go much lower, but they're in this position and they're going to ride it out, and time is on their side. So that's what they're looking for, and that's what I have for you. So AMC, it is what it is. Short side trade, and we're actually breaking even lower now. We're breaking even lower. So again, you just look at the demand here. So now we have this. So this is, volume is taking a look here. We have this volume over here. We have all this overhead volume. And now we're slipping lower here, which makes this susceptible to a bounce. But again, when we bounce up here, we get back to these levels here, 27, you're going to have selling. And again, 25.76, I mean, it just keeps dropping. And the reason why is there's just no buying demand. There's no buyers stepping in here. And the reason why is because the buyers that have bought are all in already. Those are the only buyers. Now you have aggressive shorts who have more money and raised more money, and they're just going to continue to pound the stock, pound it and pound it and pound it. And again, if there was demand on the buy side, if this was value here, people would step up. But no one's stepping up at this point. So this is why we drop and we pop. But this is, this is that part of it. Could we see a snapback on this one? I'm thinking we can. But right now, I'm not stepping in. No one's stepping in to buy. Buyers, if we looked at the active trader here, there's just no demand on this. There's just no demand. You can see here in the time and sales, this level 2 here. Now some of this is going to be hidden. Level 2 is not the best, but I mean, you're just not seeing much buying, much buyer stepping in here. So that's AMC. That's a Friday. That's a 0 date expiry put trade, directional trade. That even on a hard to borrow stock, you're in and you're out, and we're dropping to new lows here. Again, this is exactly what I'm talking about here. There is no demand for buying here, and you can see it real time here. Walking through it, we got the market also pushing lower as well, but we are also just continue to drop lower here. I'm surprised we even hit this level. I mean, those puts now. Those puts are now $1.41, $1.50. These jumped up to 70 cents. I mean, we just are now, we went from a 30-cent trade all the way up to $1.50 within, within 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So we're coming here into the top of the last hour. I don't know if there's more downside on this one, but this is an ugly day for AMC, and there's a lot of people are going to. Those that haven't opened up their account are going to open up their account after this and go, oh, I don't know. And that's the time when you want to be a buyer. This is a trade. It's setting up for a trade. It's going to be setting up for a long side trade. When we look on the daily here, which I may look, I mean, it's going to be a little bit tough on, oops, we're already on AMC, but it's going to be a little tough because the calls we discussed in the other video, the calls on the upside are skewed higher towards that risk. So it's going to have to be a different structure for that. But if we just look here on the daily, again, this is where we're just are knocking into, possibly $20 is where, I mean, you see something. But again, 15 is that level here. I mean, we could see some short covering here, but this is a big pocket here. This is where things get very slippery at these levels here. We see a slip lower, and then you can start to see some buying step in here. But I do think there's going to be a snapback trade. There's going to be a snapback trade. I will look for that. But I am not looking for it to go to the moon. On a snapback trade, when we look at a snapback, depending on where it trades to, I mean, we're looking for it to get back into these levels here. But again, now we have those that are in this trade looking at their positions underwater, all at these levels here, and now that's going to become resistance. That's resistance amongst those that are already short. So it's just it's a heavy weight to carry, and if there was value, I keep saying, if there was real value there, you would see buyers stepping up, and there's no buyers stepping up on this. So I think we're breaking actually to new lows here, continuously breaking to new lows. And let's go to the 1 minute here. As I continue to explain, we break to new lows. I'm surprised we dropped this low. I mean, this was an interesting shakeout here at 27, which shook me out. I had the position on and I got in here, and this shook me out. When looking at the 1 minute here, I mean, it's a little bit of a tough trade, but it was hard to press. But yeah, I mean, we're breaking lower here. So again, this becomes resistance. For a bounce trade, we're looked at 27. But again, we continue to see, if you watch this level 2 and you watch it over and over again, you can watch the markets on level 2 here and also on the depth of market. And you just don't see buying on the bottom end of this. You see sellers, you see the selling side of it on the ask. Offer, 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 and it keeps moving lower here. Offer. I mean, it keeps. I mean, when I'm explaining to you is when you see here on the bid side and the ask side, there is this much more on the ask side. 25.65. You got 56 on there. Just hit it. And he keeps coming in. This 25.65. Someone's unloading right here at 25.65 right there. Someone's selling into that. You see them pop up here. 66, 65, 62, 56. Someone's hitting that. So let's keep an eye on that 25.65. Oh, there we go. See, we just watched this pop lower, and again dropping and dropping and dropping, and it's just easy. We could watch the depth of market here. Now they're showing up at 25.58. So there's a big seller here coming in, and what I'm explaining here is you see more on the bid, or I'm sorry, more on the ask than you do on the bid. Now there are someone coming in here. You see someone coming in at 25.42. You see now you're seeing it flip a little bit. So we're seeing this bid side perk up a little bit here. So if I'm watching this and I'm looking for a trade, so they gobbled up some, but they're not showing up again. And now you see on the so you still see more size on the ask side than there is on the bid here, but we are seeing it calm down a bit here. We're not seeing that big size coming in on the ask and hitting and pushing prices lower here. So that's why we really haven't seen it dip lower here, and you can also see in the level 2 as well. It's moving pretty fast here, but you could slow this down later on and watch it. But if you just look here at the dome, the depth of market here, you could start to see it firm up. And all of a sudden size has come up here, or has come up on the bid here, and you can see the size at that 25.44 level and 25.48. So you're starting to see some of that selling meet that buying demand here. And this is what really makes a market. So we see this, and we're starting to firm up here. The market is still at the ES futures are still about 71, down 71 handles. But what we're seeing here is accumulation right now. We're seeing buyers show up and buy on these levels here. Now, it doesn't mean that they're buying because they think it's going to go higher. This could be some short covering. It did have a push lower, but now we're seeing the market shift. We're seeing the market turn where buyers are stepping in now and getting more control. And you see selling, you're seeing the buyers take control, and you see some of the selling meet, and we're seeing that that marketplace meet right here in the middle. That's why we really haven't ripped higher, because there are people selling into it, but there are buyers at these levels as well. And the reason why we are holding these levels here, market or the S&P futures are holding. They haven't dipped lower, but we're holding here at the lows here after it hit 25.31. And typically we're going to see some short covering, which is what we're seeing. But right now we do see more demand, more interest on the buy side here, and you could see that those transactions coming through, because you can see the volume being taken away here. But that 25.62, someone is there and they're holding that volume there. So it looks to be someone's accumulating or looking to accumulate. So they went away, and now we see the structure change, because you can drop bids. You can drop your offers and bids at any time. So you can see this, and you're watching this, and you see things show up, and then you see them disappear. And this is exactly what's going on here. So the market pushed to a low here, which is the reason why they probably pulled those bids on there. But we're not seeing too many come on the offer right now. So right now it's just a kind of a stalemate. You have buyers and you have sellers, and they're just holding on to these levels here. So let's take a look here at the SPY, and I don't think we hit a new low of the day. We just dipped lower. Well, it looks like we pushed a little bit low of the day here, so we broke lower, but we're not seeing an aggressive push lower. And this could be almost a bear trap for those that are getting short late in the day here. So on the SPY, you don't typically want to get short late in the day. But again, when we take a look here at the depth of the market, we see something completely different. You have a much more even out marketplace, and you can see some more that's on the ask than it is on the bid here, but we're not pushing lower here. And all of a sudden, now we're seeing buyers hit and come in at those levels, and we see this two-sided market here. So this SPY market is a lot more liquid. You see a lot more volume trade, and you see a lot more two-sided trading compared to something like AMC, where it's a little bit, it's not a little bit, it's a lot different. So market structure on every stock, ETF, index is always going to be different. This is the S&P 500, but we're not pushing lower here. So take a look here at AMC again, and doesn't look like we broke that low of the day. But again, we're seeing buyers step in here and hold those levels. Even though that the market is pushing lower here, this is holding up here. You have buyers coming in and holding that low of the day at this point. So when I look at this, I'm thinking to myself, this is probably going to be some short cover, and this will pop higher. And I'm looking at the level probably to sell into, where you're going to have overhead resistance, looking at the volume overhead at 28.23. You're going to have a lot of volume that people are there that you're going to have to get through. So at this point, you have pushed lower, and this stock is going to need a lot of buying demand. And right now, it's just, there's a lot of heaviness on the stock. There's a lot of forces pushing this. That it's just a lot of supply overhead, and so we probably see a pop higher into those levels. But my suspicion is that we roll over here. We roll over after that pop. You get some short covering, may even push through it, but we will see a pop in this. You will see a pop higher, but sellers are going to step in at these levels now, because now they are in control, and overall, this looks to be where this can push to $15 per share. We looked at that earlier. That's where a lot of the volume and support is. So it's another $10 from these levels at this point. But if you get a pop higher, sellers are going to step in, and new sellers are going to come in as well. So that's what I have for you. That's my analysis. I hope you learned a few things on trading. We'll see you in the next video.